Hi, I'm calling to report a theft from our RV.
Welcome back to the RV Odd Couple. My name is John.
And I'm Mercedes. Long story short, we sold most of our possessions in pursuit of freedom, independence, and adventure.
Because life is way too short, guys. And in this video, we're going to talk about, unfortunately, a cruddy experience that happened to us where somebody stole a very expensive item off of our rig, not while we were sitting, but while we were moving.
So in this video, we're going to share with you what happened in the hopes that you can avoid having this situation, because we made a couple of mistakes.
We're going to talk about some tips on what I could have done to prevent that, or at least made it a little bit harder for them to get it. So stick around to the end, and we've got a fantastic announcement. Mercedes and I have been invited to be the keynote speaker at a little conference in a place called Shipshewana, Indiana. We're going to tell you about that, and hopefully some of the RV Odd Squad members that live near there can come out and we can meet you guys. You know, it's been 9 months since we've been RVing. We have never had anything stolen from us whatsoever. And unfortunately, the law of averages say that it will. If it can happen, it will. And finally it did.
So it all started out, we were leaving Colorado on our way to Indiana. We had just visited family and we were already in a rush because we had extended our stay with our family. We had gotten sick. It was just, we're already pressed for time.
Yeah, the last part of our stay in Colorado was brutal. All three of us got sick. Sage puked all over me. It was a rough end to a beautiful visit. Okay, so to start out, when we bought our rig, Mercedes and I decided to purchase 2 generators for backup power. Why 2? Because we have 2 AC units that run 16,000 BTUs, and to get a unit big enough to run both Cs at the same time and give me the 50 amps that I need, it would have been way too large, way too heavy for me to use that, and I needed that space on the rig. So I chose to purchase 2 Champion dual fuel 3400 inverter generators. Now I've loved them. They have worked absolutely fantastic. And what's interesting is I've only needed to use one, because one will power one AC unit and the rest of the power that we do. We've never had to twin them, which is why I purchased 2. Now, the other thing that I did when we bought our rig was I added an additional basket, right, for the back bumper. And what that was to carry 2 generators so I could lock them down at night. What's really nice about this basket is my generator fit in there just like it was meant to be, right? So one would fit on one side and the other would fit on the other side. I could flip them around so that both exhausts were going out the sides and not, burning anything. So it was perfect. Now we've traveled with the generator in that basket before. Again, we've only been using one. So I would throw the generator in that basket and I would lock it down same way I did with a cargo strap, but then also locking bolt if we were ever going to leave it out overnight. Now on this day, I put it in the back bin. I cargo strapped it down with 2 ties, and I just never thought to really lock it up because we knew we were going to be using it that night. And there's no way that somebody's going to jump out and grab it while we're in the truck, right? Well, it looks like that's exactly what they did.
Unfortunately, while we were leaving, we hit every single red light. Because there is a ton of construction nearby and we hit every single red light, someone opportunistically was riding right behind us.
Jumped out of the truck, undid the cargo straps, and just lifted it off. The Colorado traffic is insane. So it took us a while to get up to the highway. Once we get on the highway, we didn't stop for 80 miles, right? I did my check. We were good to go. So we went ahead, drove about 80 miles, and at the first rest area that we came to, we pulled over and I went to do my typical walk around inspection of the RV, right? Let's check everything, make sure that everything's still on the rig. And that's when I noticed that the generator was gone. It was completely gone. I could not believe it when I looked down and that generator was gone. I mean, there's no possible way that it would have jumped out of that basket all by itself. Somebody literally had to go up, undo the cargo straps, lift it out, and throw it in the back of the truck. Now, it's not very hard to do. One of the reasons I bought 2 to pair is that each one weighs 120 pounds, which means I can lift it by myself without any threat to hurting my back. Unfortunately, we've been having problems with our Furrion rear camera since we purchased it. We don't know if it's a Furrion problem or the way that Camping World set it up. I would bet that it's the latter, but the camera would constantly go in and out. Had that camera worked consistently, we certainly would have picked it up. we would have saw somebody in the back and we probably would have been able to stop them.
What's super frustrating is that we had just replaced the battery. John already had prepped the oil or whatever because it's a dual fuel, and he did whatever the guys do to get it right. And and he had it primed and ready to go for this long trip where we knew we were going to have to boondock. The second one is still in the box, and I am so grateful that we have the second one. But I didn't understand that in order to use the second one, he has to do all this stuff to it. So it's not like he can just take it out of the box and plug it in.
Exactly. So you guys know that there's a break-in period with these generators, and I need to run it 8 hours straight before shutting it out, drain the oil, and then put new oil in it, and then it will be broken in. So we're not going to be able to use that generator. That generator is in the back of my truck, and I just haven't put it together yet. So there's absolutely no way that they would have come loose. These cargo straps both have hooks that went around a 1-inch steel beam. So it was in there. I tightened it so tight that the gas tank actually bent in a little bit. There's no way that it ever could have bounced out of there.
Well, yeah, and the stuff next to it didn't bounce out of there.
So as soon as we realized that it was gone, Mercedes jumped on the phone. We called the Aurora Police Department in Aurora, Colorado, and we found out some interesting facts when you get things stolen.
If the item stolen is less than $2,000, you have to file a report online. A huge portion of the RV Odd Squad is either a retired veteran or retired law enforcement. But it was just so frustrating that it's just so pervasive that there's actually a dollar amount limit at which point you get the personalized attention. And the other mistake that we made, knowing what we know now, is we were outside of the vicinity, so they couldn't even have come to us even if they did have the manpower. So my biggest fear is that this is just going to be some piece of paperwork filed and will never get revisited.
Right.
So we're going to share with you the quick lessons that we learned. And the first is, don't assume that just because your vehicle is moving, that means that possessions are safe. So people are opportunistic, and given the opportunity, they will jump out of their vehicle and grab something. The second is, don't put up with the unacceptable. So the fact that our Furrion has been failing for as long as it has is not acceptable. And we have been letting way too many things slide.
Yeah,
so
we've got another camera to hook up. I just haven't had the time to put the next camera on. So what Mercedes is saying is that it's no longer acceptable for us to be having a backup camera that is not reliable. Now, if the camera was working, I would have been able to get out of the truck, run back, and probably scare them away before they finished, you know what I mean? But that's not the case. That's not what happened.
The amount of hours that we spend working is no excuse not to take care of first things first.
So she's pointing her finger at me, but
no, I'm not.
I should have taken care of this a long time ago. It is my fault. I also, from now on, I will be using the cable locks that I purchased for this exact reason. I have 2 cable locks for this. I will be using those even if we're going to be in transit. So I'll be doing the 2 ties and locking it down so that it cannot be stolen.
The next mistake that we made was we let our guard down. We were in what we considered familiar area. We were in our hometown. We felt safe. And the neighborhood has changed a lot. I mean, it has been many years since we've been there. But don't let your guard down just because you're in a familiar area. That was a really big mistake, because had we been in another state, we don't know if we're in a good part of town or a bad part of town, so we just assume that we're in a bad part of town. But knowing that we were in a decent part of town, put our guard down.
What was tricky about it is it kind of started to wreck the ride, right? I mean, it's a great generator. We love it. It's $1,000. I just done a great tune-up on it. So, I mean, I was sick to my stomach once I don't know if you guys have ever had that happen before, but it's like I can't believe somebody took that moment, and then it starts to sink in the loss, right? The $1,000, all the work that I done, the work that I put into it, and the fact that we're just starting to head out on a trip where I needed that generator, right?
But then this happened. We stopped at the final rest stop in Colorado, right across the Colorado-Nebraska border. And as we're driving through, and it says, "Welcome to Colorado," and we have mixed feelings because we miss our family. We just had something stolen from us.
Leaving Colorado.
We drive by this guy that it looks like he has all his possessions in his backpack, and he has a gallon jug of water.
Right.
And all of a sudden, everything was put into perspective.
Right.
And so for our special announcement, this weekend, the 27th, 28th, and 29th, there is a small YouTubers conference, and we are the keynote speakers on Saturday night. So if you're interested, we will link to it. And if you're in the area, we'd love to see you. Come say hello and learn a little bit about YouTube.
It would be so cool to have some of you guys, if you're in the area, come out and we can meet you. We love meeting RV Odd Squad members in the field.
So since we are talking about safety and security, in the next video, we are going to talk about an experience that taught us a lot about maintaining your safety while inside the RV. See you in the next video.
See you later, guys.